Hello book lovers. Thought I'd do a slightly different sort of series on my channel. Obviously have a lot of books, like this shot right here is only like part of them. You can't see below or you can't see up above either. It's just I'm crammed right in the corner here from where my wardrobe is. So I'm pretty much crammed right in to try and get the majority of this in shot and keep out the likes of my couch and my bed. So the series I thought of doing this the other day. I always read my books kind of in the order I get them. Sometimes they do get chopped and changed around. Sometimes I'll like watch a film and really want to read the book that it's based on, or vice versa. And I was moving my books along to the next shelf. I tend to empty out a shelf. As you can see, like right there's a gap. I tend to empty out a shelf before I move the books along, so because otherwise I'd be going for ages, as you can see. It's going to be a look at the books I'm reading every so often. Once I move my books along, I'll do another video, or I'll talk about the books that maybe I didn't like, or maybe I've gotten rid of, or maybe I just didn't want to read. I don't always read the books on the shelf. If I find I'm not in the mood for them, then they go to the end of the to read shelves, as it were. Let's get this started. So we are halfway through January at the time of recording this. It is, I think it's the 15th of January today, so we're exactly, like almost exactly halfway through it. It's not, I'm probably going to list this as my January currently reading or something like that, but it's just the way it's worked out. I still have a couple of books left over from my September I'm currently reading, because I read a lot of other books. Like I read the whole St. Mary's series after reading that first book, which was quite like scary. I just zipped through them all. I absolutely loved them. So they kind of took a lot, and then I was reading other books as well, like stuff I'd seen, wanted to watch again, so I didn't get through September's to read shelf as quickly as I wanted to. And I also started the year off with reading the Secret 7 series. So this is my current to read shelf, missing out 2 books from the last shelf because there's just 2 left there. So I've got The House of Shadows by Pamela Hartshorn and The Fire Sermon by Francesca Haig. So I've zoomed you in for a little bit of a closer look. Now the first book that's coming up is The Girls by Emma Cline. Now that's actually a TV character recommendation. For anyone who watches Neighbours, you may have seen Piper Willis reading this quite a lot recently. I think she always seems to be reading a book, but she seems to have kept rereading this recently during the whole Louise boat, everything that happened there with Tyler's dad, Hamish. She's been reading this. One day I was watching Neighbours, and I do what I do on the bus. I try and see what people are reading, just to see if it's anything of interest. And I saw reading this, so I looked it up and I bought it. So there's the story behind that there. The next one up is Scandalous Liaisons by Sylvia. Can't really say too much about that. I love the Crossfire series, which is really good. And I think I'd prefer that slightly more than I do 50 Shades. I just think it goes places that 50 Shades would never have dared to go. The next 3 that are coming up, I'm pretty sure were a 3 for $10 on Amazon. So we've got Faceless there. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the author's name, but it did sound quite good. But it was the cover that attracted me. I really like that image, and then it's crossed out and it's kind of got that shine to it as well, and that's the author there. And we've got Hardwired by Meredith Wild, which sounds like it's going to be another 50 Shades style book. I'm not 100% sure about what it is. I just picked it up because it sounded quite good, and I'm sure someone else I know was reading it or had purchased it as well. Then we have Madness by Marya Hornbacher. Now I've read a previous book of hers, and I was in a phase a while back, like probably a good few years ago, where I was always reading like books about depression, books about anorexia, stuff like that, and I do occasionally still go back and pick them up and everything. It'll be good to read this book again, or to read this book, I hope I kind of remember what happened in the first book, because I don't think it was a book I kept. It was one of those ones where it was like, well, it was okay, but wouldn't read it again kind of thing. And next up you've got Pretending to Dance by Diane Chamberlain. I'm looking forward to reading that one because I do like Diane Chamberlain, but I have been a fan of hers for quite some time now, a good few years, and I really do like her book. She's kind of similar, I find, to Josie Picoult. They both kind of write about similar themes. Yes, I know I have The Life of Rylan. I love Rylan. He is one of my favourite guys. I loved him since he was... I never saw him when he was on that Signed with Katie Price show, because it was on a channel that I couldn't get. But I loved him in X Factor. I was really rooting for him. And I just like supporting him now. I think he's a great guy. He's funny. He's just so genuine, and he doesn't take any piss, basically. Then we've got Timebomb by Scott K. Andrews there. Again, it's got a really cute cover, and then it's about time travel, that's why I picked it up. And then you've got Apprentice in Death by J.D. Robb, which is like number 499 in the series, something along those lines, maybe off by one or two. I think I said this in my last one. I love J.D. Robb, I love the books, I love Eve and Rourke. Then I have the Titanic Museum Mystery by M.M. Plott. An appropriate name for someone who's writing a book with a plot. It's quite a thin book, probably more a kid's style book, as you can see. Probably for more like the child. She reminds me of someone. Survival Titanic. Sorry, I am zoomed in here, so I'm trying to hold this back as far as I can get. That's by K. Duey and K.A. Bale. It's another kid's style book. Nice and short. Quite tattered, as you can see. But I did get used, so I wouldn't say it was used goods, but whatever, that was just me. And this was quite an interesting book. This was given to me, I think it's a birthday present or a Christmas present by one of my friends, something like that. And it's called Dedicated to Forgotten Friendships, Hidden Stories and the Lost Loves Found in Second-Hand Books. So it's basically just a book of inscriptions that I found, like you can see. So I think that'll be quite an interesting book, because I always like looking at inscriptions that you find, and I had quite a few. Like, I always wonder like who they're to and why they got rid of them, because personally, for me anyway, I have never got rid of a book that's had an inscription in it. Even if I hated the book, I've always kept it, just because, you know, there is the thought that's been put into it there. I don't understand why people would get rid of books like that. It's personal to me. Harking back to the 90s here. I Know What You Did Last Summer by Lois Duncan. Now this will be quite interesting to read, because I've seen this film so many times, and I'm sure on a rewatch I noticed it was done by Lois Duncan, but I'm not sure if I ever picked that up when I was younger, or if I've read it before, which could be quite possible. Don't think I've got any of her other books so far. I might have one or two, but I'm not sure. She never wrote a sequel, but obviously they made a sequel to the book for the film. So I have the novelisation of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer by Trey, Callaway. Quite a thin book, won't take too much reading. Oh, will probably want to make me watch the films again. And then we have Terror on the Titanic, which is one of those, do you remember when, like, a lot of young viewers might not remember these kind of things, but if you're someone of a similar age to me, you always used to have these choose your own ending books, which is what this one is. You've got 19 different endings, and it's one of those ones where you finish a chapter and then it'll say turn to page 54. Now, I remember these being quite prolific, I think that's the right word, when I was in primary school. They were always in the primary school classroom bookcase kind of thing, and I used to read them, like turn to page 54, whatever it would say. But then, like, if I was bored or something, or they were like, right, go and read a book, I would read it again, but just read it straight through, just to see what all the other endings were like, and what else happened. I don't know if this will have stood up to the test of time. I bought it just because Titanic book. Now, some of these next books that are coming up are actually repeats. Like, they've come up before and I've skipped them. I'm hoping that if I read them now and I don't like them, then I can just get rid of them, because frankly, Mama doesn't have space or the time for all these books. If I can't get into a book, or if it doesn't grab me within like 50 pages, then it's out. It's out the door. Like, I literally, with the amount of books I have, I can't keep on the way I'm going at the moment, because the whole house is going to fall down around our ears. I will try if it's been an author that I've liked before. Like, for instance, I haven't got into a couple of the recent Linwood Barclay books, but I've persevered because I do like Linwood Barclay and I've been a fan of his since his first book, but he has hit a bit of a rut recently. The only other one that I remember I had to stick with was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Like, my dad read that first and he said you need to wait until at least page 200 before it kicks in, and I was like, oh my god, page 200? And that was such a slow going book. Like, it was such a chore to read. But see, once it hit page 200, I was like, okay, this is going well, this is going well. So it was like one of those books where you have to really persevere, and I'm sure there's books that I've given up on that would have turned out good, but if the grab's not there, what are you going to do? So I know Just Haven't Met You Yet is definitely a book that's come up before. And your soulmate called Are You Ready to Meet Him? It's one of those trying to use a spin on the rom-com thing, which sounded quite interesting. Can't remember why I skipped it before. And then next up is The Wood Queen by Karen Mahoney. Definitely a book I've skipped before. I'm getting a little bit kind of sick of these otherworld, fairy, oh, you know the style of books I'm talking about though. I'm hoping that if this isn't good, then just get shot of it kind of thing. And we've got My Dear, I Wanted to Tell You. And this is set during the First World War, as you can see. A letter to lovers, a terrible lie, and war truth. In war, truth is only the first casualty. I would have put a comma in there, but it's just the way I read things. 1912 facts about the Titanic. To be honest, I probably already know. Sorry, I'm at a really awkward angle here trying to show you this. It's kind of got the timeline of events. I don't know, I might skip that again, I'm not sure. Hot Ice by Nora Roberts, which is really tatty, as you can see. I think I got it from the charity shop. Then I have Afterlight by Alex Scarrow. Now, I have not liked a single one of his books since the Time Rider series. I don't know, I just tried quite a few of his other books and I haven't gotten into them. And this is definitely a repeat, because I know, like, I'm probably not going to get into this either, which is quite disappointing because Time Riders was such an amazing series. Like, it really grabs from the get-go. I'll try it and hopefully see if I can then get rid of it and get it out my bookcase. Then we have Beyond the Blue Hills by Katie Flynn. I read quite a few of her books. I tend to pick them up second hand though, because she's so, like, there's so many of them out there now. She's kind of like Lynn Andrews, who I've been kind of collecting since the beginning. I don't know if I'd found Katie Flynn like years ago, if I'd have as many, but I tend to read them and then just put them down to the charity shop. I keep a few that I like. They tend to be mainly Christmassy ones. Someone's deliberately ruins this book by writing a big 99 in permanent marker on the front. So it's kind of one of those, it's a time travel book, Time Kept Promises by Constance O'Day Flannery. It's kind of got that shiny writing. I was like, what the hell does that say? As you can see, this is not my tattiest book. I have a tattier one somewhere. Picked these up along the way when I was like majorly into my time travel series, and I found absolutely loads of them, but they've all really got those kind of Mills and Boon style covers, so it's going to be a little bit embarrassing to read on the bus. I've also got Nina Todd Has Gone. Now, not 100% sure why I have this. I think it was potentially given it by a friend. Not one that I would have picked up. Maybe it'll be good, I'm not sure. Hopefully it will be. The Savage Garden not the pop singers from like the 90s. I think my dad gave me this book, or he read it and then said, right, here you go, here's a book that you'll like. I'm pretty sure I've skipped it already. I think most of these like past books since Just Haven't Met You Yet have been skipped. Then we have Then by Julie Meyerson, which I picked up quite cheap actually. I'm sure I've read another of her books. Then the last two books there, Happy Chaos by, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. She was most well known for being, I want to say Punky Brewster, but I've never seen that. I saw her in Sabrina, which I loved. Soleil, something like that, Soleil Moonfry. She has a bunch of kids now. But I got her biography. But not least, I also have Ricky Lake's biography. Never say never. Got quite a few biographies coming up. I bought because they'd been on my wish list for ages, and then I got a Kirstie Alley one, which you'll probably see just in the corner there on the next shelf. So that's coming up soon. This is my currently reading shelf as of January 15th. I may have started some of these books by then. I may not. It may get stuck on the books that I've currently got there to read. When I was shifting all my books along, I actually found 2 copies of another book. I found 2 copies of Time's Echo by Pamela Hartshorn. So there's another book that I can get rid of. For some reason I've managed to buy 2 copies at some point. So hopefully you have enjoyed this book. I will leave a link to the books down below, just in case there's one there that's piqued your interest and you want to see more about it. I will leave those links down below. And I will speak to you guys very soon. Bye!